This is the Rich Stevens Radio Network.
Yep, here we are. TGIF. How are you? I'm Rich Stevens. Thanks so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Here's where we are right now. The impeachment inquiry has finally wrapped up. The Prime Minister of Jerusalem indicted on corruption charges, and President Trump, as expected, signs that short-term budget bill, which will take us through Thanksgiving, but there'll be another problem 5 days before Christmas. Just telling you like it is. That's the Dems for you. All right, there's a big storm. Right now it's in the central United States, and it could wreck a lot of travel plans right before Thanksgiving. We're talking next Tuesday and Wednesday. There's the potential for heavy snow and treacherous winter travel conditions with substantial delays that are going to spread from Colorado and New Mexico to parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan, maybe even in the Northeast as well if it moves as fast as they think it's going to move. But they're expecting blizzard conditions in the upper Midwest because this storm just keeps picking up storm keeps picking up strength, and the storm happens to coincide with the worst time to be on the road, which of course is Wednesday afternoon, the day before we have the Turkey Day. I'm not a big turkey fan. It's just I shouldn't say that. I like the dark meat turkey. Same thing with chicken. I like the dark meat better than the white meat, and even though there is some nutritionists that say the white meat's better for you, not necessarily always true. I'm just saying. All right, there's a recall to tell you about. Speaking of food, almost 100,000 pounds of salad products are being recalled because of possible E. coli. Mission Bay issued their recall of their salad products, which contain meat or poultry that have been shipped all over the United States, including here in South Florida. And the move comes after a total so far of 19 people from 8 states have reported getting this infection of E. coli after eating one of these salads. Now, health officials found cases in Wisconsin, Idaho, California, Maryland, Colorado, Washington, Montana, and Arizona. And the list has 35 different of these salad kits in different varieties that are under the recall. All of them are already 3 weeks or more past their expiration date. So hopefully you don't have this sitting in your refrigerator somewhere. I eat salad just pretty much every single day. But I would not, I don't get the salads with the meat in it. If I'm going to put meat in a salad, I put it in there myself. And speaking of meat, they say that, and this is some interesting research here, as far as the holidays, not only Thanksgiving, but then you got the office holiday party, and you got Christmas, and basically, like I told you a couple days ago, before I forget, thank you so much for the kind text messages and emails, and from my contact form at richstevenshow.com of your concern that I wasn't feeling well the other day. I really, really appreciate that. It means so much to me. But here's the thing, going back to the food now. The holidays is the worst time to be on a diet, trying to lose weight, because what they did is they had some Americans, 2,000, who celebrate the holidays, and found that 47% of them give up on their diets to binge on holiday favorites. That's what I love about the plan that I'm on. I could go out and binge, and I still lose weight, which is just incredible for me and to me. So they say the biggest food temptations are cookies. I could live without the cookies, pies and cakes, and home-cooked holiday meals in that order. So you got to be careful. I mean, here's the thing that I've learned about this weight loss plan that I'm on, where I lost 26 pounds already, and I'm only weighing myself once a week. So today's Friday. The next time I'll weigh is on Monday. Looking forward to the next next bump there. But 26 pounds over the last few weeks, and I feel better mentally and physically than I have in a really long time. I mean, ever since I went through all the medical stuff over the last couple of years, and they loaded me up with those steroids. I know I've told you this before. The steroids will fix the issue, but then the drawback is that you gain all this freaking weight. And I could hear the doctor saying this right now as I'm talking to you. Rich, don't worry. You're going to put on some weight. You're probably going to have a sweet tooth like you never had before. But the weight's going to come right off after we take you off the steroids, which was the biggest lie on the planet. The eating the sweets, oh my God. There were times when I was in the hospital and they had me on a regular diet. So basically, you can order whatever you want that's on the menu. Or, and they have different sides and different choices. But I was getting like 2 of everything. I would have 2 quarter chickens, which is a half a chicken. That's not that bad. But for the desserts, I'd have the fresh baked chocolate chip cookies and the chocolate pudding. And this one nurse, who was the best nurse I've ever had in my life, downstairs in the hospital, they have a little bistro. And the chocolate shakes were to die for. And she would go and get me one every other night almost when she was there. And it was so good. It was ice cold and it just tasted really good. And then I remember the time, I think I've told you this story, but just in case, it's worth repeating because this is like nothing I've ever heard before. Apparently, when I was going through all these things and my body was trying to fight this anaphylaxis and the Stevens-Johnson and everything at the same time off. And mind you, this all started with a stroke. The stroke was under control in 2 weeks. It took 7 or 8 months, though, before the blockage was fully gone, thank God. But the other issues that I had, which was from a medication called Keflex that they gave me after I had an infection in one of my IV sites, which was on my right hand. I'm touching my right hand right now, just thinking of, oh my God, it was terrible. And the reason I had the reaction to Keflex is twofold. One, and I'm not going to get deep into this right now, but I do want to do this in a future show. There's a lot of medications that put you at risk for Stevens-Johnson syndrome. I've never heard of it. And the reason I've never heard of it, you may not have heard of it either, because there's less than 20,000 people in the entire world that have Stevens-Johnson syndrome. No relation to me, of course. And I'm one of those 20,000 people now. And what's so scary about it is you can die from it. And it comes back, and it's just really nasty. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but trust me when I tell you it's really nasty. If you're my friend on Facebook, when I was going through this, I posted some pictures that people couldn't believe I was posting. But I wanted to share how gross and how disgusting and how painful it actually is and was. And the worst part is I feel over the last 24 to 48 hours, it's come back to me 3 times, by the way, since I first had the diagnosis, which was just over 2 years ago. And I know when it's coming back because I get a pain in my feet when I'm pressing down, walking, and my hands get like this shiny, almost like I've wet my hand or something on the inside. I've got that now, and I could tell that the insides of my fingers, not the insides, but the bottom part, I guess, the bottom, are getting kind of itchy. So I know it's coming back again. I'm kind of freaking out a little bit over this because I know it's coming to my feet and my hands, and it's not a fun thing because there's zero treatment. They can't do anything for it. So going back to the hospital would do absolutely nothing. All they do is, just monitor you. But when I had it, it's so rare that I had medical students and doctors and even nurses that wanted to know if they could come in the room. The charge nurse came into the room. She said, we have some people from our medical staff that would like to look at your body. I said, for what? And she said, well, they only learned about Stevens-Johnson syndrome in medical school and in books. And in nursing school, they never actually saw a patient with it because that's how rare it is. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But anyway, I'm kind of freaked because I can tell that it's coming back right now. There's no rhyme or reason when it comes back. But the story I was going to tell you, the other medical thing. Oh, before I forget, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. It's Friday. The thing is that with the Keflex is on the list of medications that can cause you to have or get Stevens-Johnson syndrome. The other one, there's a lot of them, but again, I'm not going to go through the whole list now. I want to dedicate some decent time to this on a future broadcast, but there's one that's so common, that's over the counter, that I'm going to tell you right now. And if you're taking this and you're fine. It's okay. But some people take it, and it's one of the top on the list of most common pills that people take. And this is going to be shocking to some people. It's Advil. Advil is known to cause Stevens-Johnson syndrome as well, or to bring it on. So that's pretty scary. But the other medical condition that I had at one time, when I was going through this whole thing, and I can't remember, for the life of me, I can't remember what the reason was. If it was, I want to say that it was a new medication. They were trying all these medications on me for the other stuff that I had. You see, the problem is when you have anaphylaxis, it knocks down your immune system, and my immune system was already knocked down from the stroke and some other things in the Stevens shot. It was a whole mishegas that I never would wish this on my worst enemy. But there was this new medication that they put me, it was a medication now that I think about it. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it was something for my stomach, because some other medications they were giving me were hurting my stomach, and it was just awful. And things like Pepcid, even though they were doing it in the IV, didn't work. So they gave me this, they had a stomach doctor. I don't know what you call a stomach doctor, a gastro doctor, I guess. I don't know. But he came and gave me this other medications, and he said, there's a really weird side effect that some people get with this medication. And I said, do me a favor, please don't tell me about it, because I'm the kind of person, like when I go to CVS to pick up the meds, I do not read the side effects of the medication, because it's, I don't know if this is I'm the only one who does this, but it's kind of like in my psyche that if I read and see what this does, I'm like talking myself into getting it. I know that sounds weird, but so I never want to know the side effects. So I told the doctor, please don't tell me what the side effects are. And he says, okay, well, if anything changes, please have the nurse call me and we'll talk about it. I said, okay. So I was on this medication for my stomach one day. The next day, and something you may or may not know about me, I drink tons of water every single day. I've always done this. I love water. And sometimes I'm in a mood to have ice cold water, and sometimes I'm in a mood to have room temperature water. It depends. I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to that. But anyway, so this medication, and I wasn't even thinking about the medication, but the next day, like he gave me this medication on Wednesday. Thursday afternoon, lunchtime, I ordered food from the bistro, which was downstairs in a hospital that I told you a little while ago about, and everything tasted horrible. I mean, really horrible. So horrible that one bite was enough, and there was nothing that was going to cause me to or allow me to take another bite, because it was that bad. So I drank I love ginger ale. I drank some ginger ale, had no taste. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I drank some bottled water, and the water tasted awful. I mean, it was really bizarre. And again, I'm not thinking at this point that this is the side effect of the medication. I just know that nothing tastes good. Well, anyway, there was a chocolate cake that was for dessert. So I said, you know what, I'll try the cake. I tried the cake. The cake was unbelievable. It was unfreaking believable. The chocolate icing on the cake was just great. And now I'm saying, am I crazy? So I page the nurse. The nurse comes in, and I tell her the story, and she says, it's the medication. I said, what do you mean? She said, it's that medication. I want to say it was something like Sucrafate or something like that. The medication for your stomach. And I said, well, how is it possible that water tastes awful bitter, like you don't want to drink it, and yet the only thing that tasted good was the chocolate cake? And she said, I'm going to call the doctor. So she places a call to the doctor. This was like 1:30 in the afternoon. The doctor happened to have been in the hospital, so our half-hour lady comes back in the room, and he says, you got the side effects? And I said, yeah, how did you know? Because the nurse told him that the only thing that tasted good to me was a chocolate cake. He said, well, here's the thing. You need to be on this medication for at least 7 days in order for it to fix what's wrong with your stomach. But you can't not eat for, 7 days, obviously. But if you eat anything chocolate, it's going to taste great to you. And I thought he was kidding, but it made sense, because it didn't make sense, because it did and didn't, because everything I tried tasted awful, but the chocolate cake was great. He said to the nurse, have the dietitian come up and get him, every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, more than normal of chocolate stuff, because chocolate somehow bypasses this terrible side effect, and you're able to taste it. So I would have like 2 pieces of cake. And remember, with the steroids, that made you want more anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But that's how I put all the weight on, was because of the steroids and the stupid chocolate thing, which lasted for 7 days. I mean, if you think about it, not too bad to only eat chocolate for 7 days and not have to worry about it, but it was, oh my God. But that's why this weight loss plan that I'm on now, which is like nothing else I've ever tried in my life, is just, I mean, it's just the pounds are melting off. Finally, I'm able to, do something about it. There's another story. Well, there's a lot of stories, but what I want to tell you is this: Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York, has now officially taken steps towards running for president because he registered a campaign committee. That just means that he's allowed to collect money for his campaign. He's still claiming it's not a done deal, but he filed the paperwork with the Federal Election Commission yesterday to formally create this presidential campaign committee. So as I said, the move allows him to, start fundraising and spending money from the fundraising on a 2020 campaign. Now, his team says, he's 77 years old, by the way, he's worth only $50 billion, and he still hasn't decided actually if he's going to run. I know he's going to run. But they say if he does run, it's going to take the Democratic field back up to 18, which is just, I'm so sorry that I missed the debate the other night, because it has to be a little bit overwhelming, especially for the underdogs, which are the people that are, not the what do you call it? Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and I forgot who the other one was. There's like 4 that are leading right now. The other one's like, who cares? So here in South Florida, it's that time of year. We're on high alert for dengue fever after an 11th person in Miami caught the mosquito-borne illness. This is really scary stuff. Now, you're urged to protect yourselves from the insects by wearing long sleeves when you're outside and using insect repellent. Now, they also advise draining water from your yard and turning over anything that holds even just a couple drops of water, like buckets and plant pots. And these are the places that mosquitoes like to breed. Now, sometimes I crack myself up. The Florida Department of Health says that none of the cases were related to or following the outbreak that we had in March. This is totally different. And the case of the 11th patient, who we don't know the identity, hasn't been released, but it was recorded by officials in Miami-Dade County. Dengue fever is caused by the dengue virus, which is transmitted by infected mosquitoes. And these mosquitoes thrive in tropical climates, and they breed in these stagnant pools of water. Like I said, even if it's a cap full of water, they can breed in that. So it's very important, because they don't breed in the bush or in trees or in the Everglades. It only breeds around human habitation, and it only bites humans. Now, here's the scary part. Most people experience no symptoms or few symptoms, but if you develop symptoms, you can suffer from muscle or joint pain, headache, high fever, nausea, vomiting. And according to the World Health Organization, if the infection progresses to severe dengue, it can kill you, to be life-threatening. The bad part is there's no treatment or vaccine for dengue virus, and most symptoms resolve after a week on their own. Now, according to the Florida Department of Health, the dengue virus was eliminated from the U.S. decades ago. But it's back again. And it's been here for, a little bit of a while already over the past few years. I remember talking about this like 10 years ago on the show. So I know it's, been around. I think the World Health Organization just needs to pick up their research and get with the times. If you're going to, go out and fight people on Black Friday, the deal should be massive enough that it kind of makes up for it. So there's a study that analyzed all the Black Friday ads, 29 of the biggest retail chains in the country, to try to figure out who's offering the best average deals this year. and who's got the worst. Now, the average deal is 40.4% off, which is an improvement from last year when it was just 37% off. And here's the best deals. Ready? Beals or Bells. Is it Beals or Bells? I think it's Bells. Excuse me. And a store called Peebles, which I've never heard of. But they say the average is 69.8% off. Now, the other stores that are averaging around 50% off or more are Belk, JCPenney, Kohl's, New York & Company, Kmart, Dick's Sporting Goods. And the store that's offering the worst deals this year is Ace Hardware, because the discount is just 11.8%. Now, the other stores that are averaging less than 30% off is True Value, Costco, Harbor Freight, Amazon, Big Lots, Dell, and Best Buy. So have fun. Just be careful. But why bother waiting in line when you can buy everything online anyway? Online on the computer, rather than wait in line at a physical location. There's a really popular Cuban restaurant. I used to go to this place on the other side of Florida. It's near Tampa, and it was closed because, and this is not something you want to hear, because of rat droppings. But the owner says, ready for this? They weren't rat droppings. He says they were black beans. So the restaurant was shut down by state inspectors. They found 23 health code violations. One violation was, as I said, these rodent droppings, with over 100 droppings found on the floor, all over the kitchen, under the cook line, near the expo window, and around the front counter area. Now, the owner says that all the violations have since been corrected, but he's still claiming that the droppings were black beans that bounce around and end up on the floor. And this restaurant is right off the waterfront, beautiful downtown Gulfport. It's called the Habana Cafe. Maybe you've been there. They've been serving up traditional Cuban food for more than 22 years. Black beans. Can you imagine? It's not rodent droppings. It's black beans. There's a guy here in Florida. We're talking about Florida. He's 73 years old. Walked into a bank and he told it. This is just funny. And it's really not funny, but he told the teller, this is a robbery. I have a weapon. He requested $1,100. The teller handed him $2,000, and he demanded that the employee give him what he asked for. So after he was given the cash that he asked for, the guy runs out of the bank. Police found the guy at his home the next day and arrested him. But they say the man also had a note demanding the cash. He was hoping to get caught because he needed to get locked up. So we don't have all the details on that yet, but it's just it's a sad state of affairs when somebody wants to get locked up. And with bank robbery, it's a 12-year sentence minimum. So, there you go. Speaking of sentences, congratulations to former Vice President Joe Biden. On his 77th birthday, he learned he has another grandchild. You see, Hunter Biden took a DNA test. It turns out that he's 100% the dad of a 15-month-old love child. Now, earlier, Hunter denied having any kind of sex with London Alexis Roberts, who claimed in court filings that Hunter was the father. Now, the records show that the DNA test proved with scientific certainty, and now she's seeking child support and protection for the baby by the United States Secret Service. Now, Roberts gave birth in August 2018. At that time, Hunter Biden was in a relationship with his brother's widow. I mean, this is weird. And that romance was revealed about the time that he separated from Kathleen Biden, the mother of his 3 adult daughters. So Hunter left his brother's widow in April, and then he got married to Melissa Cohn, who he met just 10 days before. What is with the Biden family? I mean, there's gaffe after gaffe, but this tops it all, doesn't it? And something very unusual happened yesterday during the House impeachment hearing. A Republican criticized Donald Trump's handling of his phone call with the president of Ukraine, but said he hadn't heard evidence that supported the impeachment of the president. Will Hurd, he's from Texas, said Trump's comments to Ukrainian President Zelensky were part of a misguided foreign policy. and Hurd focused on Trump's use of the words "do us a favor" and Biden in the July 25th phone call when he was asking Zelensky to look into the 2016 election and the Bidens. Now, during his 5 minutes of questioning, Hurd said, "I believe both statements are inappropriate, misguided foreign policy, and it certainly is not how an executive currently or in the future should handle such a call." And by the way, he's not seeking re-election, so that tells you everything you need to know right there. It's, you know, there's just so much. I'm so glad it's over because the guy, and I forgot his name, it's not important, but the guy that was claiming that he was out to a lunch and he was sitting at this across the table from the president, and the president was on his iPhone, and he was obviously talking to the president of Ukraine or the ambassador, and he was able to hear both sides of the conversation. I mean, how can you make up stuff like this? You can't hear somebody's phone unless they're on a speakerphone, and I would bet my life that the president was not on speakerphone in a conversation to an ambassador and or the president of another country, regardless of what you think about the president. Nobody does that. But this guy says he was able to hear the person on the other end of the phone with the conversation, and in fact, you know, it was very troubling. Give me a break. It's just like the woman that they were questioning today. Same thing as the woman they were questioning the other day, 2 days ago, is that they were asking her opinion on stuff. Who cares about your opinion? That's why this whole thing is such a farce. And now they're going to waste more time, more money, and go forward and still try for the impeachment, which I think the next step is to have a trial, then a vote. And then, of course, it's going to go to the Senate, and the Senate won't back it, you know, and then it just goes away. It's just ridiculous. I mean, come on. Get over it. By the way, if you want to check out the Rich Stevens Show online, you go to richstevenshow.com, Rich Stevens Show, R-I-C-H, Stevens with a V, richstevenshow.com, and there's lots of great stuff there. Please check it out. Please share it on your social media, too. And like this broadcast, if you're listening or watching online, please share it as well. Don't forget to check me out on Amazon Fire TV, also on Roku TV, and on your Echo device with Alexa. She's there waiting to play The Rich Stevens Show. Have a great weekend. That's it. We're out of time. I don't know where the time went to, but we're out of time. So, the American Music Awards, I think, are on this Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And Taylor Swift will be performing all her great songs. I'm really looking forward to that. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. RichStevensShow.com or 305-707-7878. Have fun.